Mr. Dave, and Shug here. I forgot to remind everyone what whole steps and half steps are at the beginning. So Shug's going to help us look at some whole steps and half steps. Here we go. So we got a piano right here. A whole step is when we go from one key to and skip one and go to the next. We get some volume on that, Shug. So we go one, then we skip the black key, go whole step away. Half step would be from the one we're at, the one right next to it. Alright, I'm sorry, Shug. Thanks, bud. Alright, friends, here we go with our next lesson. We're going to learn about the scales, philosophy, and theory of Japanese music. In Japanese music, they have two types of scales, yo and in scales. Yo and in correspond with yin and yang of Chinese philosophy. The yo and yin modes are pentatonic, meaning they have 5 different notes in the scale before going to the octave. They're used for most of traditional Japanese music, with exception for the 7-note Rho and Ritsu scales found in Gogaku music, which we looked at in our first lesson. Japanese music theory was heavily influenced by Chinese music theory, which held that every tone of the pentatonic scale was relative to one of the 5 elements: wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. The charts that we're about to look at will show us different scales and those different notes. So in the order they are is related to that philosophy. They believe the 3rd note was wood, the 4th, fire, 1st, earth, 2nd, metal, and 5th, water. And what's particular about Japanese music, most scales start on the 3rd degree, as opposed to the 1st degree. So, what's different about this is the scales we're used to hearing sound like this. Goes up 8 notes, starting on the number 1. In Japanese music, it starts on the number 3 and goes up. And the reason the number 3 note is so important is because they have the philosophy of the element, which is wood. And they believe that this element symbolizes spring, new beginnings, and the supreme virtue of malevolency. Alright, let's listen to some of these scales and see how some of them are made. Alright, before we go into that, let's review a little bit about the scale we do know, the major scale. So check out this chart here. Here we go, whole steps and half steps. We're going to look at a G major scale, and the formula for it goes from G to A whole step, A to B whole step, B to C half step, C to D whole, D to E whole, E to F sharp whole, and F sharp to G is half. When we look at the scales found in Japanese music, they have the same type of thing, but the scales, or the steps, are different. So in this first scale of the yo mode, in the first form, we got a whole step plus a half step. So that's that'd be 1.5 steps. So that'd be like skipping a key and then doing a half step right next to it. Then we got a whole step, another big whole plus a half step. Let's listen to how this mode sounds, or the scale sounds. Let's listen to how the scale sounds. Pretty cool, huh? A little different. Let's keep going. So then there's another form where it's same thing. We got whole step, half step, so whole and a half step, whole and a half step, then whole step. These two shifted right here. So instead of going whole step, we go that big jump on the second to last note. And this is what the second mode sounds like, or second scale sounds like. One note difference, ever so slightly different. But we're going to keep going. We're going to look at this last one. We're going to look at this last one here. It's big whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. And it sounds like this. This is also guitar temp for our friends who've been learning guitar. You can follow along with it. Pretty cool, huh? And one thing that happens a lot, oops, let's see, let's zoom out, move out to our next page. One thing that happens commonly in Japanese music is they'll use one scale going up and one scale going down, which sounds like this. Pretty cool, huh? It's got such a unique sound. We're going to keep going. We're going to listen to this excerpt from this song here that uses these two scales. Let's check it out. We're in 4/4. We got quarter notes, a half note. That's about it. Quarter notes and half notes. Pretty cool. So this all boils down to two factors, friends. We're just using the rhythms we know and notes, and it's just the order that we put them in that makes them all different. But that little bit of order changes a lot of things. This is what it sounds like in 2 octaves. Oh, we're going to skip that. We don't need to know. And then there's the in modes, which if we remember are supposed to be the soft modes. So now this has got a different, this is got even a crazier. We got a half step, 2 whole steps, whole step, half, and then another 2 whole steps. Let's hear how this mode sounds. Oops, this scale sounds. I like that one a lot. I think it sounds cool. We're going to hear in this example here. So we got 2/4, so that means in each bar there's 2 quarter notes. We got 2 quarter notes half, 2 quarter notes half, 2 quarter notes half, quarter note, 2/8 notes, and a half note. So let's listen to this example. So all those notes that were used there melodically were the notes from this scale. And we got one more scale to look at. Let's see if it difference. Let's see the difference. We got whole step, half step, 2 whole steps, whole step, whole and half step, and then a whole step. And this one sounds like this. And what's so cool about this, friends, is we're taking things we know. We know that in a scale there's a certain set of notes, and we know the order of those notes creates a mood, a tone to the music we're about to make. And all around the world, we're going to see things change within 2 categories of music. We're going to see things change in rhythm and things change in harmony or melody. In this case, with Japanese music, the rhythms we know 4/4 rhythms, we know whole notes, we know half notes, nothing too crazy there. But what's changing is the notes that we put those rhythms to, the pitches. And we're limiting ourselves to 5 notes, and we're rearranging those into interesting steps compared to just half steps and whole steps. Now we're using whole half steps in double whole steps. Pretty cool.